The alarm blared through the Earthship horizon as the crew rushed to their stations. Captain Eliza Ford ran onto the bridge, her heart beating fast. She had been captain for 5 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "What's happening?" she asked, sitting in her command chair. Officer Sam Kelly pointed at the main screen. "Look, Captain, it just appeared out of nowhere." Ford's mouth fell open as she stared at the massive alien ship. It was huge, at least 5 times bigger than the horizon. The ship was dark black with sharp points sticking out all over it. Purple. Lights pulsed along its sides like veins carrying blood. "Have they made contact?" Ford asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "No, Captain," Sam replied. "They're just sitting there, watching us." The bridge was silent, except for the beeping of machines. Everyone stared at the alien ship, wondering what would happen next. "Try hailing them," Ford ordered. "Standard greeting protocol." Communications Officer Rita Peters nodded and pressed several buttons on her console. "Channel open, Captain." Ford stood up straight. "This is Captain Eliza Ford of the Earth Exploration, Vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." For a long moment there was only silence. Then the main screen flickered and changed. The crew gasped. On the screen was a creature that looked like a giant lizard standing on 2 legs. It was at least 8 feet tall with shiny green-blue scales covering its body. 4 yellow eyes glared at them from a face that reminded Ford of an alligator, but with a shorter snout and more teeth. The alien wore black armor that glowed with the same purple light as its ship. "Humans," the creature said in a deep, rumbling voice. The ship's computer translated its words with a metallic sound. "I am Supreme Commander Vexathor of the Draconian Imperium. You have entered our territory without permission. This is against our laws." Ford swallowed hard before speaking. "Commander Vexathor, we didn't know this area belonged to anyone. Our maps show it as unclaimed space. We are explorers, not invaders." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Your maps are wrong. This has been Draconian space for 300 years. Then we apologize for the mistake," Ford said quickly. "We will leave immediately." Vexathor made a sound like rocks grinding together, which the crew realized was laughter. "It is too late for that, human. Your kind has been watched by the Imperium for many years. You spread too quickly through space. You developed new technology too fast. The High Council has decided that humans are dangerous." First Officer Ben Garcia stepped forward. "Dangerous? We've never attacked another species. We seek peaceful relations with all." "Silence!" Vexathor shouted, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Your words mean nothing. We have seen how humans behave. You say peace while preparing for war. The Imperium will not wait until you become a real danger." "What do you want from us?" Ford asked, feeling cold fear spread through her body. "Your ship will be boarded. Your crew will be questioned. Your databases will be copied. Then we will decide if Earth should be contained." The way he said contained made Ford's skin crawl. She knew he meant something much worse. "Please," she tried again. "There must be a way to resolve this peacefully. We can arrange a meeting with Earth's leaders. We can—" "Enough talk." Vexathor's fist slammed down on something off-screen. "You have 1 Earth hour to prepare for boarding. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction." The screen went black. The bridge erupted in voices as everyone spoke at once. Ford held up her hand for quiet. "Options, people. I need options." Garcia shook his head. "Their ship is huge, Captain. Our scans show weapon systems we've never seen before. If we try to run or fight, they'll destroy us easily." "Can we send a warning to Earth?" Ford asked. Communications Officer Peters frowned. "We're too far away for direct communication. We'd need to reach a relay station first." "What about surrendering?" asked Navigator John Miller. "Maybe if we cooperate." Science Officer Olivia Reeves spoke up from her station. "Captain, I've been scanning their ship. There's something strange about their energy signatures. This technology seems uneven." "What do you mean, uneven?" Ford asked. "Some systems are incredibly advanced, but others seem almost adapted, like they didn't develop them naturally." Olivia pointed to her screen. And look at this area here. It might be a weakness in their sensor coverage on the left side near what looks like a small docking bay. Security Chief Greg Mason, a tough man with 20 years of military experience, studied the scan results. She's right. That's a blind spot. A small shuttle might be able to slip through undetected. Ford paced the bridge, thinking hard. Earth needed to be warned. They needed more information about these draconians. Do we have any stealth shuttles? She asked. Shuttle 3 has the latest cloaking technology, Mason replied. It's not perfect, but it might work. Ford nodded slowly as a plan formed in her mind. We need two things: information about our enemy and a warning sent to Earth. Captain, Garcia protested, sending a shuttle is incredibly risky. If they're caught, I know, Ford cut him off, but sitting here waiting to be boarded isn't an option either. We need to know what we're dealing with. She turned to Olivia. You're our best scientist. I need you on that shuttle to gather information on their technology, weaknesses, anything we can use. Yes, Captain, Olivia replied, though her face was pale. Mason, you'll go with her. Your job is to keep her safe and help get a message to Earth if possible. The security chief nodded firmly. We'll get it done, Captain. Ford addressed the rest of the bridge crew. Meanwhile, we'll prepare for boarding. We'll act cooperative to buy time, but be ready for anything. As Olivia and Mason left to prepare for the mission, Ford stared at the alien ship on the screen. It loomed like a dark storm cloud, threatening everything humans had built in space. Be careful, she whispered to her departing crew members. The fate of Earth might depend on what you discover. Shuttle 3 floated silently in space. All main systems were off. Only the emergency lights glowed inside, showing the worried faces of Olivia and Greg. We're getting close to their ship, Greg whispered, even though no one could hear them. In space. His hands moved carefully over the controls. Olivia checked her equipment again. Her hands shook slightly. She had joined the horizon to study new life forms, not to spy on dangerous aliens. There's the blind spot in their sensors, Greg said, pointing to a dark area on the huge alien ship. I'm going to use just enough power to get us there. The shuttle moved slowly toward the massive black ship. Up close it looked even more scary. Sharp spikes stuck out from its hull. Purple light moved through what looked like veins on its surface. Amazing, Olivia said, pointing her scanner at the ship. The material of their hull is eating our scan beams instead of bouncing them back. Greg frowned. That's great for science, class, but where can we dock this thing? Olivia studied her scanner and pointed to a small dark spot on the alien ship's side. There. That looks like a door or airlock of some kind. Greg carefully moved the shuttle closer, using tiny bursts from the thrusters. They drifted next to the giant ship like a flea next to a dog. Then he extended the docking tube to connect with the alien ship. No alarms yet, he said, checking his screen. But I don't like not knowing what's waiting for us. Olivia looked at her readings. The air inside should be okay for humans to breathe, but we should keep our spacesuits on to be safe. They put on their helmets and sealed them. Greg pressed the button to open the airlock. There was a soft hissing sound as the air pressure evened out. The door slid open to show a dark hallway inside the alien ship. Stay behind me, Greg said, pulling out his gun. He was a soldier before becoming a security chief. He moved like someone who knew danger well. They entered the alien ship. The hallways were huge, with high ceilings and wide passages built for creatures much bigger than humans. The walls glowed with the same strange purple light they had seen from outside. This way, Olivia said quietly, following the readings on her small handheld scanner. I'm picking up a big power source 2 floors down. Might be their engine room. They moved carefully through the ship, hiding whenever they heard sounds. Twice they had to duck into small side rooms to avoid alien crew members walking past. The ship was like a maze, but Olivia's scanner helped them find their way. Stop, Greg said suddenly, holding up his hand. Someone's coming. They pressed themselves against the wall in a dark corner as 2 huge draconian soldiers walked by. Each alien was more than 8 feet tall and carried a weapon longer than a human body. Their scale-covered skin gleamed in the purple light. Those weapons are huge, Olivia whispered after they passed. They could probably blow a hole in our ship with one shot. That's why we need to find out everything we can about them, Greg said grimly. They continued deeper into the ship. After 20 minutes of careful movement, they found a large room filled with strange machines. In the center stood a giant crystal structure that pulsed with energy. It reached almost to the ceiling, about 20 feet high. This is amazing, Olivia said, her eyes wide. She moved her scanner over the crystal. It's some kind of energy core. The power it's producing is incredible. Greg stood by the door watching for aliens. Can you figure out how their shields and weapons work? Anything that might help us? Maybe, she said, connecting her device to what looked like a control panel. Their technology is very advanced, but I'm seeing something interesting. Their shields might have a weakness against certain energy frequencies. She was downloading data when suddenly a loud alarm began to sound throughout the ship. Strange alien words blared from speakers in the walls. They know we're here, Greg said, raising his weapon. We need to leave. Now. They turned to run, but it was too late. 4 large draconian soldiers blocked the doorway, all pointing their weapons at the humans. Humans. One of the aliens growled in a deep voice. Commander Vexathor will be happy we caught you sneaking around. As the aliens surrounded them, Greg secretly pressed a button on his wrist communicator. It sent an emergency signal to the horizon, along with all the data Olivia had collected. The lead alien pushed Greg with his weapon. Move! The commander wants to see the spies himself. The aliens marched them through the corridors. Other Draconians stopped to stare at the small human prisoners. Some made hissing sounds that might have been laughter. Did your message get through? Olivia whispered to Greg as they walked. I hope so, he answered quietly. Because I don't have a plan B. They were taken to an elevator that moved sideways as well as up. When the doors opened, they were on the bridge of the ship, a massive room with screens showing stars and planets. Alien crew members worked at stations around the room, and at the center, sitting on a raised platform, was a figure they recognized from the video message. Commander Vexathor stood as they were brought in. He was even more impressive in person, nearly 9 feet tall with muscles visible under his scales. His 4 yellow eyes glowed with intelligence and cruelty. The human spies, he said, his voice making the floor vibrate. Did you really think you could sneak onto a draconian warship without being detected? Olivia stepped forward, surprising both Greg and the aliens. We came to learn, not to fight. We're explorers. Vexathor walked down from his platform, his clawed feet clicking on the floor. Explorers? Or the first wave of an invasion? We're not invaders, Greg said. Earth has no quarrel with your people. The commander walked around them, studying them like insects in a collection. Your bodies are so small and weak, he said. I don't understand how your species has spread so quickly across your sector of space. We're adaptable, Greg said. Perhaps, Vexathor agreed. But adaptation has limits. Soon you will see the true power of the Draconian Imperium. He turned to one of his officers. Take them to holding cells. After we capture their ship, we will question them about Earth's defenses. As the guards moved to take them away, the ship suddenly shook violently. Alarms began to sound all over the bridge. Vexathor roared in anger. What is happening? He demanded. An alien officer looked up from his station. Commander, the human vessel is attacking. They've found a weakness in our shields. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Ford looked at the data that Greg had sent. Her face was serious as she studied the information about the alien ship. Can we use this? She asked, pointing to the screen showing the alien shield frequencies. Chief, Engineer Kate Lee nodded. Yes, Captain, we can change our energy weapons to hit these exact frequencies. It won't destroy their shields, but it will make a hole for a short time. How long? Ford asked. Maybe 10 or 15 seconds, Kate replied. Ford looked at her crew. They were scared but ready. It's not much time, but it's all we have. We need to rescue our people. On the screen, they could see their small shuttle still stuck to the side of the huge alien ship. Get a rescue team ready, Ford ordered. Our best fighters. The moment we make a hole in their shields, they go in. Meanwhile, on the Draconian ship, Vexathor was shouting orders to his crew. The bridge shook again as another blast from the horizon hit them. How is this possible? He roared. How can such a small ship hurt us? They're targeting a weakness in our shields, an officer reported. Their weapons are matching our shield. Frequencies exactly. Vexathor's eyes moved to Greg and Olivia. Your scans showed them our weaknesses. Greg stepped in front of Olivia. Your ship was about to attack Earth. We had to defend ourselves. The commander growled, showing his sharp teeth. You have only delayed the inevitable. No human trick can save you now. He turned to another officer. Bring the beast. These humans should see what awaits their planet. The officer hurried away through a side door. Olivia and Greg exchanged worried looks. What kind of terrible monster were these aliens about to unleash? The beast you are about to meet, Vexathor explained with obvious pleasure, is one of our greatest weapons. We use it to clear entire cities before our troops land. One beast can kill hundreds of your kind. Sounds of struggle came from beyond. The door. Something was growling and fighting. 4 Draconian soldiers returned, struggling to control a large metal box on wheels. Whatever was inside was moving around, making the box shake. Your captain has refused to surrender, Vexathor continued. So I will show you what happens to those who resist the Draconian Imperium. After we take your ship, we will get its navigation data and find your home planet. He walked to the box and put his hand on a control panel. Any last words before you meet your death? Neither human answered. They stood straight, facing what they thought would be their end. Suddenly, the ship shook much harder than before. Red. Emergency lights started flashing and alarms sounded throughout the bridge. What is happening now? Vexathor shouted. The human ship fired something new, an officer replied, sounding scared. Our shields are down completely on the port side. Vexathor turned to Olivia and Greg, his face twisted with rage. What have you done? Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered, and in the confusion, the locks on the metal box broke open. The front panel burst off. Everyone on the bridge froze, waiting to see the terrible monster. Out of the box tumbled a small furry creature. It was about the size of a puppy with soft violet fur and 6 little legs. It shook itself and looked around with large, curious eyes. There was total silence on the bridge as both humans and Draconians stared at the tiny creature. Vexathor recovered first. He pointed dramatically at the small animal and shouted, "Unleash the beast." Greg and Olivia looked at each other in confusion. Then Greg looked back at the furry thing. You mean this cute pup? He asked. The little creature's ears perked up at the sound of Greg's voice. It made a happy chirping sound and bounded across the floor toward him, moving quickly on its 6 legs. No! Vexathor yelled, suddenly sounding afraid. Do not let it touch you. Too late. The puppy-like creature had already jumped into Greg's arms and was licking his helmet visor happily. This is your terrible beast? Olivia asked in disbelief. She reached out to pet the creature, which immediately turned its attention to her, making more happy chirping sounds. Vexathor backed away, real fear in his yellow eyes. Keep it away. The control system is damaged. It's not responding to our commands. The other Draconians were also backing away from the humans and the small furry creature. Some were actually hiding behind their control panels. As the aliens panicked, another explosion hit the ship, much closer this time. The main door to the bridge burst open, and a team of humans in spacesuits rushed in, weapons ready. Captain, Ford sent us to get you out, said the team leader Lisa Chen. Time to go home. As the rescue team secured the room, Greg asked, Can we take this little guy with us? I think he likes humans better than Draconians. Lisa looked at the chirping creature in Greg's arms. What is that thing? According to them, it's their deadliest weapon, Olivia said with a smile. You don't understand what you're doing. Vexathor shouted as the humans prepared to leave. That creature is not what it seems. It will destroy you all, but the humans were already running for their escape shuttle, taking the small furry friend with them. Minutes later, They were safely back aboard the Horizon, which immediately jumped away from the damaged Draconian ship. In the ship's medical bay, Greg and Olivia were checked for injuries. The violet beast sat calmly on an examination table, allowing the ship's doctor to scan it. No harmful bacteria or viruses, Dr. Amy Wong reported. Its body temperature is a bit higher than ours, but otherwise it seems harmless. Captain Ford looked at the creature with a raised eyebrow. This is their most deadly weapon? A six-legged space puppy? That's what's strange, Olivia said, petting the creature's soft fur. The Draconians were terrified of it. Vexathor mentioned something about a control system not working. Kate examined the readings from her scanner. It has a very unusual biology. These glands under its fur seem to produce complex chemicals. Whatever it is, it sure likes humans, Ben Garcia observed as the creature playfully batted at Olivia's fingers. I've been looking through the data we downloaded, Rita said, showing something on her tablet. According to Draconian records, this species was found on a distant planet and genetically changed to be used as a weapon. They call it a Cyvor. A what? Greg asked. The translation isn't perfect, but it means something like mind-eater, Rita explained. It doesn't actually eat minds, but it forms some kind of mental connection with certain species and affects their emotions. Everyone looked at the innocent-looking creature, which was now curled up and purring softly. I think I understand, Olivia said excitedly. The Draconians are naturally aggressive and territorial. If this little one amplifies emotions, it would make them even more aggressive and out of control, Ford finished. But with humans, we form a different kind of bond, Olivia said, smiling as the creature nuzzled her hand. It's responding to our friendship and curiosity, not our aggression. The small alien suddenly looked up, its ears twitching as if it heard something. Then it jumped down to the center of the table and began to glow with a soft violet light. To everyone's amazement, a holographic map appeared above the creature, showing stars, planets, and Draconian ships and bases. It's giving us intelligence, Garcia whispered. Their weapon has backfired, Ford realized. Instead of making us fight each other, it has bonded with us and is helping us. 2 days after escaping from the Draconian ship, the crew of the Horizon gathered in the main meeting room. The small violet creature sat happily in Olivia's lap, making soft purring sounds as she petted it. Let me understand this right, Captain, Ford said, looking at the furry animal. This little guy is supposed to be their ultimate weapon. That's what makes no sense, Olivia replied. The Draconians were truly scared of it. Vexathor mentioned something about a control system failing. Dr. Wong shared her medical findings. Its biology is unlike anything I've seen before. It has special glands under its fur that make complex chemicals. Whatever it is, it really likes people, Garcia noted as the creature playfully batted at Olivia's fingers. Rita had been studying the data they took from the alien ship. She showed some images on the big screen. According to the Draconian records, they found this species on a distant planet. They changed its genes to use it as a weapon. They call it a Cyvor. What does that mean? Greg asked. It roughly translates to mind-eater, Rita explained. But it doesn't actually eat minds. The records say it forms a mental link with certain species and affects their emotions. Everyone looked at the innocent creature with new interest. I think I understand now, Olivia said excitedly. Draconians are naturally aggressive and territorial. When this little one connects with them, it makes them even more violent and out of control, Ford finished. They can't work together or follow orders. But with humans, Olivia continued, it forms a different kind of bond. It responds to our friendliness and curiosity, not aggression. As if understanding their conversation, the small alien suddenly sat up straight. Its violet fur began to glow softly. Then it jumped onto the center of the table. To everyone's amazement, a 3D map appeared in the air above the creature. It showed stars, planets, and the locations of Draconian ships and bases. It's sharing their secrets with us, Garcia whispered. Over the next few hours, the creature, which they named Nova, showed them more information about the Draconian Imperium than they could have gathered in years of spying. It revealed fleet movements, weak points, and most importantly, the location of a facility where thousands more creatures like Nova were being kept and trained as weapons. We need to get this information to Earth right away, Ford decided. And we need to free the other Cyvors before the Draconians realize what's happening. 2 weeks later, a group of Earth ships launched a rescue mission to the breeding facility Nova had shown them. The freed Cyvores immediately bonded with the human rescuers, forming partnerships that would prove very valuable in the coming fights. The Draconian invasion fleet that had been preparing to attack Earth found itself facing an unexpected problem. The human ships, each with a Cyvor partner, had advantages the aliens never expected. The Cyvores could sense the Draconians' plans before they happened and boosted the humans' ability to work together. 6 months after the first meeting between humans and Draconians, Commander Vexathor stood before the Draconian High Council, trying to explain his failure. "The humans," he said, his once proud posture now defeated. "They turned our greatest weapon against us simply by being kind to it." The council chamber filled with angry hissing and growling. "The weapon was designed to amplify aggression," one council member said. "How could we know their main emotion would be something else entirely?" Meanwhile, on the newly built Earth defense ship Horizon Prime, Captain Ford watched as Nova played with a group of children in the ship's recreation area. The creature had grown a little larger but was still just as friendly, serving as both a beloved pet and an important crew member. "Who would have thought," Garcia said, standing next to her, "that the key to defending Earth would be our ability to make friends?" Ford smiled as Nova noticed them and bounded over, greeting them with happy chirps. "The Draconians wanted to unleash the beast," she said, kneeling to pet the violet creature. "They just didn't realize that sometimes the strongest force in the universe isn't aggression or advanced technology." "It's friendship?" Garcia suggested with a small smile. "That," Ford agreed, watching as Nova's fur glowed softly at her touch. "And humanity's special ability to turn enemies into friends." In the months that followed, humans and Cyvores worked together to establish a new peace in the galaxy. The Cyvores, with their ability to sense emotions and intentions, proved perfect for helping different species understand each other better. The Draconian Imperium, faced with this new alliance, eventually agreed to peace talks. Many of their military leaders couldn't understand how their perfect weapon had become the foundation for peace instead of conquest. 1 year after the first encounter between the Horizon and Vexathor's ship, representatives from 20 different alien species gathered on Earth for the first Galactic Council meeting. Each human diplomat was accompanied by a Cyvor partner, helping them sense deception or hostility and promote understanding. Captain Ford, now Admiral Ford, opened the historic meeting. Nova sat beside her on the podium, his violet fur glowing softly. "1 year ago," Ford began, "the Draconian Imperium thought they had created the perfect weapon. They believed that by amplifying aggression, they could conquer the galaxy. But they overlooked something important about humans." She reached down to pet Nova, who chirped happily. "Humans can be aggressive when threatened, yes, but our greatest strength has always been our ability to connect, to form bonds with others different from ourselves. Throughout our history, from domesticating wolves into dogs to forming friendships across cultural boundaries, humans have thrived by building relationships." The gathered aliens listened carefully, many with their own Cyvor companions who had chosen to bond with them. "The Cyvores didn't fail as weapons," Ford continued. "They succeeded in their true purpose, to bring sentient beings together in understanding rather than conflict. They amplify not just aggression, but whatever emotion is strongest in their companions. With humans, that turned out to be empathy and curiosity." Nova jumped down from the podium and approached a Draconian representative who had once served under Vexathor. The alien tensed at first, but then slowly reached out a clawed hand. Nova nuzzled against it, and the Draconian's posture visibly relaxed. "This is the beginning of a new era," Ford said, watching the exchange. "One where we focus on what unites us, rather than what divides us." As the meeting continued, Nova returned to Ford's side. The Admiral smiled down at her furry friend. "Unleash the beast," she whispered, repeating Vexathor's command from their first encounter. If only he knew the beast was really the beauty of connection. Nova chirped in agreement, his fur glowing bright violet as the representatives of 20 worlds began the work of building a peaceful galaxy, all because a commander's weapon found friendship instead of fear. The end.